Hello and welcome to PBCJ Presents, our weekly current affairs discussion series. It is here that we take a deep dive into matters affecting Jamaica land we love. I am Maya Chung. This week on PBCJ Presents, we take a look at the impressive longevity and successes of the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory, which is a century old as at this year. To help us delve, we are joined by the company's Managing Director and CEO, Norman Washington Grant. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Moya. Welcome to Mavis Bank Coffee Factory.
And quite the welcome the team has received.
Yes, Job Love, the coffee experience beyond compare. I'd like to, on behalf of our shareholder and chairman, the Honorable Michael Leachin, our Vice Chairman Mark McIntosh, our management and staff, and our over 3,500 farmers, our selectors, our truckers, all those that has helped us to get to this point. Thank you for coming to the home of the finest coffee in the world, Mavis Bank in East Rural, St. Andrew.
I am so honored, and the team is as well. 100 years. This is a very historic as well as auspicious thing to happen in a nation like Jamaica. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mavis Bank Coffee Factory has registered a number first. So this is our 100th anniversary. If we go through the chain of ownership over the years, the Munn family started the company in 1923. They date back to 1885. Keeble Munn has operated the company well into about 80 years, and then it was managed by the Development Bank of Jamaica as a part of an arrangement that they had, and eventually the company was bought by Jamaica Producers. They owned it for 5 years. Jamaica Producers and Panjam, they were joint owners, and currently since 2016 the company has been owned by the Honorable Michael Leachin through a company, a vehicle called Coffee Investment Company. So Mavis Bank Coffee Factory has registered a number of firsts. So it is our 100th anniversary, but it is also the 70th anniversary of exporting coffee directly to Japan. So in March of 1953, the first 3 barrels of coffee was exported from this factory to Tokyo, Japan by the then general manager Keeble Munn. And today, the Japanese market buys over 70% of our Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, with 20% going to the USA and 10% going to Europe and the rest of the world. And that is also reflective of the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory. So this journey has been exciting. We support 3,500 coffee farmers that grows this coffee in regions specified by law as Blue Mountain regions in the parishes of St. Andrew, St. Thomas, and Portland. And there are about 80 districts where our farmers cultivate this coffee, and we have selectors that represents us that collects the cherry coffee from the farmers. Okay. So the first thing that we need to recognize is that we can plant this seed. It takes 6 to 9 months to become a seedling. Let
me hold this, yes.
Okay. Then you transplant these seedlings into the plantation, which then takes 2 to 3 years to get to a tree that would develop a cherry coffee.
Which is what you're holding and what I'm holding
now. This tree, in fact, can go up to 15 years, and after
I don't understand that. You have to explain. Okay. I'm a novice.
Okay, so after 3 years, this coffee tree will start bearing cherry coffee from 2 to 3 years. These are cherry coffees that you will reap from the trees like mangoes. So the pickers on the plantation will go and they will pick these cherry coffees, and these are the coffees that we will buy from the farmers. After it is float, we will then issue a ticket, and we will receive this in our factory for pulping. And the pulping process is
wow,
taking off the skin
of the cherry,
exposing the parchment, which is then washed.
So you just popped it out of the cherry?
Yeah, remove the mucilage, which is a composition of sugar, right? And then we put this washed coffee on our barbecues, and we dry it down to 10 to 12.5% to get cured parchment.
So, okay, once it is wet, and then you dry it down to this drier one. These are not things I can pop into my mouth.
Not yet. Not yet. Because we dry it on the barbecues and take out about 30% moisture. And then we put it in mechanical dryers, dry it at 55 degrees Celsius, and bring it down to 10 to 12.5%. We then will move these parchments in our warehouse, where it is rested for a period of up to 10 to 12 weeks, and sometimes 16 weeks, after which we'll bring it into the dry mill to hull. And so hull, H-U-L-L. And this is what you're actually doing, Moya. Taking off this brown section is hulling. Okay? And then there's a thin layer here.
I see.
Right? And the machine then polishes the beans. And then you will get green beans. So you start with cherry, parchment, and then green coffee. This is actually ready to be barreled.
Okay.
So prior to getting to this point, we grade it, gravity separate, and then
what is gravity separate?
Gravity separation
hard to understand.
Is ensuring that all beans in a particular batch are of equal density. Because if they are not of equal density, then when it is roasted, it becomes uneven. But even before you get to that point, we have close to 200 ladies here that meticulously sort these beans to take out all the minor defects, which may be brown beans, bitten beans, affected by berry borers. And the objective is to almost have a perfect looking coffee to be exported in barrels or to be roasted.
How are the ladies or any employee trained to have the eye to do that? This is like a laser, this is like surgery.
So firstly, you have to know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
The objective is to ensure that when we sell our Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, it is perfect. So we are only allowed 3% minor defects. So the ladies will go through and meticulously sort these beans and remove all of those defects. And then samples will come to this lab, and our lab technician will analyze color defects, and we'll also cup, taste. I'm an international cupper, Mr. Richards here as well. A cupper is someone who, by sensory taste, smell, detect and analyze roasted coffee and do the grading of those coffee.
You have to park there for a moment, because I would like to know, how does one become a cupper?
Oh yes, so over time, so I've been cupping for over 35 years, which meant I started when I was 2.
I know what you mean.
So it is a exciting area in coffee production. So not only do we produce the finest coffee, but you must know and certified and assured that this coffee meets all of the specification of Jamaica Blue Mountain, which is clean, balanced, sweet, mellow, floral,
high
chocolatey,
high
quality. And of course, the Coffee Industry Board, or JACRA, will equally test our coffee and assure that our coffee meets those quality. So I'll roast the coffee, I'll grind it. We put samples in a 6 ounces cup, then we pour water on. We leave it for 4 minutes to extract all the flavors, all the attributes, and then I break the surface and smell, and then after I taste to confirm what I smell or to see if there are any characteristics that are there. So you keep doing that day in, day out. I recall Mr. Irvin Willis, who was a chief cupper in Jamaica, in the 90s, we both went to Atlanta to cup coffee, and in one day we actually cupped 420 cups of coffee. So I would have a spittoon. I would have a spittoon, so you don't swallow everything.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like wine tasting.
That's what I came to mind when you said it.
Yes.
Yes. I've known you all these years, and I didn't know you were a cupper.
Yes, I'm an international certified cupper.
That's great.
And so this is extreme. And I was trained here at Mavis Bank by Kibamon. I went overseas, and I also got training there.
I know Mr. Munn was your mentor.
Yeah, yes, of
great
blessed
man.
memory, great man. Yes, and I cupped coffees that from different origins. So the story of Mavis Bank is producing the finest coffee in the world. So where I was talking about green beans. So the green beans is processed, and then we barrel it in 70, 30, 15 kilogram barrels under the MBCF and the Wallingford brand, because we also do Wallingford Estate, and then we export that to the different markets, Japan, the USA, Europe, and the rest of the world.
I'm going to take it there because we have to take a break. You are watching PBCJ Presents. The topic is 100 years of the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory existence and successes. My guest is the Managing Director and CEO, Norman Washington Grant. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Tell us about that special case.
Yeah.
Bing fell in love with a reporter. Yes.
Yeah, so
and this is real.
Yeah, so a reporter, claimed reporter, basically got access to it, early access, and he started talking to it. Over the conversation, for whatever reason, Bing started to express positive interest in the reporter and got to a point where it decided it should have the reporter for itself. It chose the reporter as a mate and then spent the rest of the conversation trying to figure out how to get the reporter to leave his wife. Why? I don't know. That's the scary part.
And I heard Brad Smith, president of Microsoft, on 60 Minutes. He says he doesn't know.
Yeah.
I think on 60 Minutes, you're not going to say that you know if you even know, but I don't think that was an outcome that would have been broadcast if it wasn't a reporter. Maybe if it had happened, they would have even tried to just keep that in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's probably not the first instance, or probably many.
Welcome back to PBCJ Presents. Our topic this episode is 100 years of Mavis Bank Coffee Factory leading the way in the world with the top coffee. We're talking to Managing Director and CEO of the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory, Norman Washington Grant. Before the break, you were saying that you were mentored by Kibelman, who is behind all of this glory. Starting with 3 barrels exported to Japan, or little 3 barrels, and 100 years later, how much you want bet me? You don't know how much barrels we've exported over 100 years. Are you that good?
So many, so many I can't count.
I would imagine.
Because we have the Japanese in particular have been very great to us. And as you mentioned, the work of Kibamon, I will also indicate that when I spoke to our current chairman and owner, the Honorable Michael Lee Chin, he says, Norman, this year is a bus out here. Right? And simple means that we want to really launch from this 100 here to reposition our brand and to penetrate the global market with the finest coffee in the world.
Are you able, before you continue, are you able to say when a man like Michael Eachin says bust out here, would you be able to give us one specific characteristic? So has he given a directive, or is it a team thing? We're going into the Middle East. We're not in, I'm just hypothesizing. What does that look like in the bust out here?
So, you seem like you've been in the boardroom. So I was talking about the green coffee, which we export in barrels across the globe. Then right here at the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory, we will roast this green coffee, green beans, and pack it under our Jablon brand, our Wallingford brand, our premium Blue Mountain blend brand, and our True Blue brands. And with the roasted coffee, you are getting a higher margin than the green coffee. So when the chairman says, Norman, this is a bust out here, our focus is to transform our business from roasted, from green gradually to roasted. So presently, we distribute our coffee in the supermarkets globally, in the supermarkets locally, in our inbound shops in the tourism sector, like in Montego Bay, Ochores, yes, and Negril. And we also export our coffee overseas and through e-commerce. So one of the areas that we have focused on is now coffee shops. So while we're expanding our brand, our Jablon brand, into different products, proliferations, like the Jablon Classic, the Jablon Gold, the Jablon K-Cups, which is a new...
K-Cup, say that again.
K-Cups.
K-Cups.
K-Cups, which is a single serve. So you have, you buy, a box of single serve coffee and you make one cup at a time. So that is a part of the new wave. And we find that this is doing very, very well.
I figured you would have had market research data to influence.
Oh yes, market research. We are going with all of the waves. But we're also focusing on as a strategy to sell our coffee to the 4 million tourists that comes to Jamaica.
What did you say, 4 what?
4 million tourists
that comes to Jamaica.
Per annum. Per annum. So we're looking on linkages. So we have a coffee shop at Oxford, but we also have a coffee shop on the Falmouth Pier. We have one at Duns River. We have one at Choco Cove.
When
in
did you start
Village.
rolling out these shops? Because this is new
well,
to
those
me.
shops we started about 2 or 3 years ago. But
during COVID?
During COVID. Some of these projects came during COVID.
And they lived and thrived.
And they live and really thrive well. And we find that strategically, once the cruise ship starts to come, then sales starts to move again. Because during COVID, our sales dipped by about 50%. In fact, we had to reduce our workers just to survive in terms of dealing with the cost. So a part of the bust out that the chairman speaks of is that we are now looking to place the Jablon brand, the Jamaica Blue Mountain brand, on the global market. Throughout the Caribbean, we want a presence there.
What timeline has the chairman set?
We are looking to roll this out, a number of these initiatives. We're going to be looking to roll it out over the next 12 months. Because in the 100-year anniversary, we are celebrating from March of 2023 to April of 2024. We have started discussion to place the brand in the UAE, for example. We are looking
and for those of us who don't know, the United Arab Emirates.
Yes, yes.
Why? You heard from them, oh, we've heard about you. Or,
oh yes, they love luxury product.
I know.
They love luxury product, and because Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee is a luxury brand. And what we're trying to do is to place it strategically where the demand is and where persons can certainly spend a lot of money in getting the finest coffee in the world that is the best quality.
I'm thinking, all right, these are new discoveries, are they?
Oh yes, and breaking out in the Caribbean as well. I want to say that with the uptake in the tourism sector within the Caribbean, as a part of our strategic goals and objective, during this 100th anniversary here, we're also earmarking Caribbean markets so the cruise ships that don't come to Jamaica, we want to catch you in St. Lucia. If you don't go to St. Lucia, we want to catch you in Barbados.
Anywhere in the Caribbean.
Anywhere you go. So we want to really place this brand as a global premium gourmet brand that brings value to our 4,000 farmers, our rural communities, the agriculture sector, and of course the company. Right now the farmers are quite exciting because we're paying $10,000 a box. We believe that the reinvesting of this into the coffee plantations will help to increase their production and their productivity from the current 30 boxes per acre to 60 to 70 to 90 boxes over the next 4 years.
Let me ask you this before you continue. I have interviewed you and you have spoken of Mr. Munn. Mr. Munn was a great man. What is the leadership of a Michael Leachin, worldwide billionaire like? I've never discussed that with you. What does he bring to the table that adds value? Because you're not negating Mr. Munn, but what is it like? Give us a few of the characteristics.
I call him a transformational leader. And he believes in multitasking. He also believes that we have a great brand. He called it a gold mine that we're sitting on. And what we need to do is to transform the brand. So right now, the 100 years anniversary is putting me as the leader for Mavis Bank in a transformational mode. You know, how can we ensure that we had significant value to this premium brand, luxury coffee, fantastic experience, that it brings values to Jamaica, it brings values to over 200 farmers, it brings added value to our 4,000 farmers rather, and our over 200 workers. And it brings values to him as an investor in the product. In the products.
But it will probably see an expansion from 4,000 farmers, because you would have to predicate, because if people, the 4,000 are seen to be benefiting, I would want a piece of that action as a person trying to uplift myself.
Right.
So you would be planning for, suppose this thing is so inspirational, you're looking to recruit further farmers?
Sure. We want to, and we have engaged the minister in my capacity as chairman and president.
That would be Agriculture Minister Pernell Charles Jr.
That coffee is a great option for transforming the Jamaican economy. And as I deposit to him that if he invests $1 billion in the coffee industry over 5 years, which is an investment of $200 million per annum in the form of fertilizer, inputs, training to the 5,000 farmers, what you would see is an increase in the production from the current levels of 240,000 boxes to 450,000 boxes over 5 years. That strategic move alone would increase your income generated from the coffee industry alone in the first instance from 17 million to 25 million US per annum, and then after 5 years 50 million, and then for the next 10 years at an incremental growth of 2.5%, you would see the coffee sector generating at the end of 10 years 100 million US dollars in income in terms of export earning. That is game changing. So what I'm saying to the minister, listen, add the coffee farmers to your production incentive program, get those production up, and what we want to see is where coffee become one of the primary sectors in the agriculture sector.
Which it is not now, because
which it
that's
is
why
not now. And then agriculture will become one of the primary sectors in the overall economy, and GDP will jump from what, 7%, maybe to 7.5%, and into double digits. So we think an investment in coffee is very strategic.
Coffee is like Jamaica. It's Jamaica's caviar. It's all,
absolutely.
You know?
So for us, for Mavis Bank, just coming back to Mavis Bank, we have a number of initiatives that we're going to be rolling out over the next 12 months.
Give me at least some of the elements. You might not be able to give me all 3 initiatives, but give me some of the elements that characterize those 3 initiatives.
Okay, so we're going to be recognizing a number of our stakeholders, including our markets. So in Japan, in September of this year, we're going to be recognizing a number of our Japanese company, Yushima Coffee Company, who export the first 3 barrels to. Next year, April, we're going to be going to the USA, China, and Europe to recognize those customer base. In Jamaica, in December, we're going to be recognizing our staff and all our local partners. We're going to be giving 100 scholarships to farmers and staff, their children who are connected to the Mavis Bank. We're giving back and we're recognizing. We announced that we're going to be establishing a Mavis Bank Foundation that will look to helping community development, supporting educational grants and bursaries for the children of our farmers and our staff who are employed to the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory. We're going to be rolling out a number of new products.
Like?
Products, diversification.
You can't tell me?
I can't tell you one yet. But within another 8 weeks, we expect 2 of those products to be out. But right here at Mavis Bank, by July, we will have 2 of those products out. At Mavis Bank, we're also getting involved in rural transformation and a connection with the tourism sector. So we're going to be opening a cafe here at Mavis Bank that will have some elements of like a coffee museum. So when our tourist comes to Jamaica for a tour, they will get the full story of Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee, the history, the present, and the future. And they will be able to also sit and have a great cup of Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee right here on the 12 acres property in Mavis Bank. We just completed our recertification audit on the SQF and we score 98%, and that is big for us. So
98 out of 100?
Yes, yes. We wanted 100 out of 100 in the 100 years. And we're big in certification. You know, we got awards from JACRA as one of the top companies. We are certified by US FDA. We are one of the certified operation under the Starbucks Cafe. So we are very, very big in certification. And certainly we want to do a number of things to reach out and to give back and to reposition the band and to reposition the brands and to expand the market, to expand the product, and really what I call continuous improvement and make quality a culture here at the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory.
All right, we're going to take a break at this time. You are watching PBCJ Presents. I'm your host, Maya Chung. My guest is Managing Director and CEO of the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory. We're looking at the PBCJ Presents. I'm your host, Maya Chung. My guest is the Managing Director of the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory, and this is the Great Norman Washington Grant. We've been talking about the 100-year celebration anniversary, starting from 3 barrels to the Lord alone knows how many. Yes. What else will be taking place that people ought to know?
Yeah, so we are going to have a big engagement with our farmers, because our 3,500 to 4,000 farmers, they are the basis. So we're going to be having several training days across the Blue Mountains. We're going to be having coffee festivals in 3 parishes.
More than one.
More than one. One in each parish.
Which parish?
Portland, St. Thomas, and St. Andrew. And then we'll ask our farmers to come out. We'll have a lot of giveaways. We are operating a nursery right now, and over the next 12 months,
a
plant coffee nursery, we are aiming to produce 100,000 seedlings.
Have you ever done that before?
No, we have never done that before.
But that's the goal.
So that's a new project, and they're in White River in Portland. And a part of it we will provide to our farmers at a discount so that they can continuously replant in their fields. So there's going to be a big focus on what we call increased production and productivity. We're also going to provide manures to our farmers, right? Fertilizer, we provide fertilizer to them at an advance, and then we recover it from the funds that they will get.
Revenue.
We have lease farmers who are on the Wallingford properties, and we want to re-engage them to regularize those leases and for them to get in an habit of producing high quality coffee very efficiently. So we have a big plan for our farmers and their farm families. And I spoke about the scholarships, the bursaries, because over the last 5 years, we would have disbursed close to about $3 million to our farm families. Those are workers whose children were successful in GSAT. And so those are some of the programs that we'll be looking at.
So this 100 years is characterized not just by, oh, we have to make more coffee and bring more people and get more money. You're really truly looking at the people who
we want to touch hearts and save lives.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at our workers, or we can help to build them, you know, putting the right people in the right place, and really look at improving our overall quality, you know, standard.
Quality service delivery and all of that.
To our workers. To the shareholder, we want to make sure he gets
his
the type
shares,
of return. To the customers, we want to engage them with high quality coffee, continuous communication. We're going to be rebuilding our website. And again, I told you that we're coming out with some new products, etc. We are also planning to introduce over the next 12 months, as a part of this celebration, a Jamaica Blue Mountain 5 to 10K in the Jamaica Blue Mountains. So we have an I Mountain 10K outside of the, you know, by Jamaica Standard Product, and Mavis Bank. We are engaging one of those organizers so we can run and feel the energies, you know, in the Jamaica Blue Mountain. And you know, in my word I said, storming on me, keep it pumping.
You want an all-encompassing
it is going to be a big celebration. So it is a very energetic marketing strategy, right? That is going to place the Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee as the winning bean, the king of coffees.
I like that. Is that the slogan?
Yeah,
the winning bean,
the winning bean and the king of coffees. Because that is around the celebration of the Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee Day, which originated in Japan. So come September, we have a delegation that will be going to Japan on September 26th in Tokyo. We'll gather a number of members of the AJIJC, which is the importers of Jamaican coffee in Japan. We'll be recognizing them. We'll be participating in the exhibition at Big Site in Tokyo. We'll be promoting the Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee to all our coffee lovers.
The Japanese really
love Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee.
Let me ask you this now. Yeah, because you're redeveloping the website and you're getting new logos and other new things. This is what I'm looking at here, is the redesigned logo. It took 3 persons on the team to do that. William Watson, Norman Grant, and Mark McIntosh came together, and this is the new logo going forward.
Yes.
So every product, even the extended products that you're going to introduce, will bear this logo.
Yes, this is the Mavis Bank Coffee Factory logo, 1923 to 2023, 100th anniversary. So we will have this logo on our products, all the new labels that we are preparing, and say that we lead the team, but all the members of the management team and the quality team had an input in it, because we got their feedback, we got their comment. So it is really a teamwork.
It's classy and
this
nice.
is a very classy logo. So you will see it
Very
on our shirts here, very first world, very corporate, and it jumps out at you. We have also developed a 70th anniversary logo for the Japanese market. So what we do with these two logos, for all the coffees that we are shipping into those markets, we are included these in the barriers this year. So, and this will be done for the period March 2023 to April 2024 as a part of our recognition of the partnership between Jamaica and Japan, and in relation to the recognition that we're having in Japan for the Japanese importers. Our ambassador, Shauna K. Richards, and our team there at the Embassy of Jamaica in Tokyo is leading in assisting the organization, and it's going to be an exquisite event celebrating accomplishment and celebrating partnership, friendship, and certainly the luxury
and prosperity between
prosperity
the two. Yes. May I ask you, because I see rum cake, and should I not say that? I can edit it out now, but are you able to talk on those things?
I am not able to speak on the specific launches.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But PBCJ Presents will be in the house.
Oh yes,
these are local.
Will be in the house.
They'll
These
be
are
done
local, but we're also seeking to place them on the international market as well. We're going to be big on Amazon. So a number of our products are also listed on Amazon.
Boy, that's great.
And that's great. We want to really thank Barrington McIntosh, who has partnered with us, and we are really growing on the Amazon platform. And those new products that are coming
I looked
out,
at one of them, and my mouth started watering.
will be taking Jamaica by storm.
I think so.
Yeah, keeping it pumping, and according to the chairman, the boss out here, we're looking for a number of things. And there, you know, I can be very frank with you that Jablam, we had a cold beverage, and we are now going to be relaunching that cold beverage as well. And there are some other products that we will do one at a time. So we'll be in coffee, great 100% Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee. Whenever you go anywhere in Jamaica, it should be coffee by Mavis Bank and Jablam. When you jump on the airplane in the Caribbean, you should be running into us. When you go to North America, you should be running into us. When you go into Asia, you should be running into us.
UAE.
When you go into the UAE, you should be seeing Jablam, the coffee experience beyond compare. We're very, very excited about this 100th anniversary, and the people behind the brand, and those who were there now,
and who will join.
And who will join in the future.
All right. I have heard you say you're in discussions with the agriculture minister. I am not a politician. I am not a farmer or an agriculturist. This seems like this is a no-brainer. Where are those talks? Are you able to speak about the support that you have asked them to put the billion?
Right.
Because this sells itself, and it was selling, and coffee is one of the things like tourism that thrived through COVID, which is a big deal.
Yeah. So to be frank with you, the minister, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., has bought into the vision. And he's working with us right now. We are waiting for a meeting with the entire Jamaica Coffee Exporters Association and himself to discuss a number of issues. So the investment of $1 billion, which is an injection of $200 million per annum over the next 5 years, is one that we believe it will happen, and the process has started. We're also placing on the table that we need to look on double taxation relief
What does that mean?
For
to
the
layperson?
processors, the processors who import coffee to blend and pay a tax and roast it and then export. And so when you import, you pay a tax. When you export, you pay a tax. And we believe that we should be looking to provide some relief to the exporters and the processors. We also believe that we should review and subject once more the agriculture sector to what we call the exempted tax status. You know, that was removed in 2013.
I recall.
And we believe that because of the importance of agriculture, that's one.
It's food security.
It's food security. And two, a number of these farms and factories are in the rural communities. So even if you don't want to provide us with the new exemption status, you know, in terms of enterprise zone, but provide us with some tax benefit, because a lot of the factories and the operations are providing employment for our people. The second thing, we want to look at the development of our infrastructure. I mean, you drove up this morning, the condition of the roads. And
I wasn't going to bring it up. Yeah.
Through the Blue Mountains,
yeah.
Right? So we believe that the value that coffee and agriculture brings to the economy compels attention, that we have to improve the infrastructure. We have to deal with the roads, we have to deal with the water and the irrigation. We have to deal with the...
We're going through a drought now.
We're going through a drought.
So
what about mini dams? You know, we're not short of water. What we have is a distribution problem. And that distribution problem can be resolved by dealing with infrastructural development. You know, so I'm saying a lot of capital outlay needs to be invested to develop the infrastructure. You know, spend some money over the next 3 to 4 years, develop the rural infrastructure. Invest in it, right? It's like it's like a factory's own. And then over time you will be getting the returns. And I'm saying that those are the efforts we're looking. Marketing as well. With Jam Pro, we have just completed a study to look at reposition the brand across the world. We don't have a marketing problem because whatever coffee we produce, we will sell. But it's important that we refresh the brand in the existing market while we diversify into new markets. So Japan, we need to refresh those brands. We need to make sure
a new Japanese person is being born every day who
the younger generation.
So
and
you
gradually,
can't get complacent.
So as we increase that production and productivity, right, we are finding markets, because there are new markets to absorb the increased production. The future for agriculture and coffee is exciting. What we actually need to do is to make sure that we are bringing the people together, we are getting the funding, and we are dealing. Government has to do what government needs to do, which is to build and create the environment and get the players to come in and capitalize on it.
All right, at this time, I would like to say a hearty congratulations. Thanks for sharing what you have shared with us so far. It has been a pleasure for me to have you as my guest. I am hoping that we can join in on this 100-year commemoration and even invest ourselves from the media angle, specifically the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica.
Sure, we should do a coffee show together.
I like that idea. And on that note, thank you again. And that is it. Tell us about that special case.
Yeah.
Bing fell in love with a reporter. Yes.
Yeah, so,
and this is real.
Yeah, so a claimed reporter, basically got access to it, early access, and he started talking to it over the conversation for whatever reason. Bing started to express positive interest in the reporter and got to a point where it decided it should have the reporter for itself. It chose the reporter as a mate and then spent the rest of the conversation trying to figure out how to get the reporter to leave his wife. Why? I don't know. That's the scary part.
And I heard Brad Smith, president of Microsoft, on 60 Minutes. He says he doesn't know.
Yeah.
I think on 60 Minutes, you're not going to say that you know if you even know, but I don't think that was an outcome that would have been broadcast if it wasn't a reporter. Maybe if it had happened, they would have even tried to just keep that in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's probably not the first instance.